The training arc. The training arc is a common trope in anime and in popular literature and media and in cartoons, where a character either has reached rock bottom or has come to this realization after losing or suffering a great defeat that the current abilities and the skill sets that they have currently are not enough or are not good enough to be able to allow them to progress to the next point in the story, whether it's to get to the next part of the journey or it's to defeat a bigger villain. Typically, for example, I can think of many examples across anime because that's literally like that's all that's up here. Nothing but anime and cute boys. What can I say? For example, Luffy after Marineford. Marineford is a painful arc to talk about, but after Marineford, him and the Straw Hats go away for a year because they recognize that their current skill level is not enough to deal with the big guys in the big world. And each of them works on an individual skill set to allow them to enter this new world and to enter this new season, I guess, or this new arc with adaptable abilities sufficient enough for them to defeat the big bad villain guys. There are many examples across anime, and sometimes it can be slow. Sometimes it could be across multiple different periods. So for example, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, you can argue season 2 is Zuko's training arc, is when he's coming across situations where he reaches absolute rock bottom and this realization of being at rock bottom and sacrificing his morals to get what he thinks he wants makes him recognize and realize this current phase and part of life I am and this moral compass that I have is not correct and is not going to lead a fulfilling life. Look at all the damage that I have caused through this moral compass. I need to change. So sometimes it's not always physical, sometimes it's also mental as well. I recently graduated from the University of Cambridge with a BA in Natural Sciences, and you would expect after getting that kind of accolade, achieving that life goal, in all honesty, for some people would make me the happiest I've ever been. Like, no matter what, like, nobody could yup my yum. Like, I was 21, I'm hot, I'm educated, I have the degree plaque, I should feel amazing. But instead, all I felt was utter despair. And maybe utter despair is like hella dramatic, I'm sorry. But I basically didn't get the grade I wanted. I worked myself to almost to death. Like, so TMI, but I did not have my period from like April, like the entirety of exam time. I only got it back in August. That's how wrecked my body was. Like, my body was shutting down like one by one. I was losing hair. I gained so much weight. It broke me, in all honesty. I was so upset. I was crying. I didn't really see my worth, and it made me recognize how much value or how much of my own personal self-worth was placed in academic success, or my definition of academic success. If I didn't get the grade that I felt like I deserved or worked hard towards, and a grade that I felt proud to tell other people that I got and could justify all of the hard work I did, like, I felt like the grade justified the hard work. And if I couldn't have a grade that was like, look, all of the hard work I did was absolutely worth it, all the suffering I put up with, all the terrible times and cries and tears shed at that university, look, I got this amazing grade. Like, it wasn't even about the degree, it was about the number on the piece of paper, because I wanted to show, like, look, I'm so intelligent. Look, some white middle-aged man in my department thinks I'm good enough. And I didn't recognize how much I defined my own personal self-worth by somebody else's definition of intelligence and academic success. And so I spent a lot of the summer truly, truly lost and kind of in despair, because I was like, who am I if not a example of academic success? And who am I if I am not achieving the best grade possible? And who am I if hard work doesn't get me what I want? And I was really, really struggling and trying to come to terms with it. And yeah, I remember on graduation, I went around like filming like some people and like getting little interviews. I didn't know when I was going to use it. I was going to do a graduation day vlog, but I ended up like being really upset in the middle of graduation, understandably. But I remember like filming different clips and asking people, what are you most scared of for the future? And it was really funny to me, because to me, what I was most terrified of is this being my limit. Like, getting a degree from Cambridge is like the maximum of my potential. Like, that's all I could ever achieve. That's all ever I could seek to gain. Like, that was what was internalized in my brain, in my mind. And then all of these people gave really interesting different answers.
What are you most scared of? You guys leaving and not talking to us anymore.
Finding a new community, because I think Homerton really gave me that, so trying to find that elsewhere.
I'm most scared of just kind of losing connections.
I'm scared of that too.
I want to just like maintain as many as possible, so I'm definitely gonna do my best, especially in the next year, just to see everyone as much as possible. But
scared of losing touch with all the people that I've met during my time here.
I think so. Lots of people have said that, which is really nice because you built a nice community.
100%.
Yes. I'm currently on a gap year. A gap year that I didn't necessarily want to take because I am terrible at taking breaks. One thing I thought was really interesting actually is I went back to my old secondary school. When I went back to my old secondary school, I interacted with some of the teachers that had known me for years. One teacher even taught me from year 8 onwards. Year 8 music, I had her all the time. And I remember telling her, you know, I'm on a gap year and I don't really want to be, but like, here I am. And she said, this is going to be absolutely amazing for you because I know you, Jess. I know that you can't sit still, right? You hate this idea of not feeling like you're earning your time and justifying and validating your experience. And she was like, this is going to be so powerful and so important and so good for you. You need time to reflect on what you really want, not what the outside world is saying, what you truly want, Jess, because I don't think you've given yourself the opportunity to do so. And that was really powerful for me because somebody who's known me since I was 12, she was like, yeah, I know you, Jess. Like, I know you hate this probably right now, but this is so important. This is so good for you. So I've decided to rename my gap year into the training arc. And in the sense that I recognize that the skills, the mindset, the things I have, like right now, are not enough to reach the potential that I want to be and to achieve the things I want to achieve in life and to have the story or write my narrative the way I want. I recognize that in this current phase that I'm currently in, it's not enough. And I don't mean to achieve more accolades, but at the end of my life, I don't think I currently have the stage right now to write the narrative how I want the narrative to be written. How can I make this gap year, this time of me figuring out what I want, the most powerful, the most effective? What do I want to achieve? I've already started like going on this little I'm going to meet like old stages. I've entitled it on my Notion, I'm going to meet my Uncle Iros. And I've made like a list of different jobs and I'm always adding an update in it. So like last week I had a really cool conversation with doctors and they specifically worked in transplant. And I was like, do I want to do medicine? And I had a really great conversation with them and just interacting with them and like what they do. And I'm like all about booking like coffee dates right now. And I'm a LinkedIn warrior. Like I am on LinkedIn messaging people being like, hi, my name is this. Help me please. So that's one component of my training arc, learning from the people who are ahead of me and taking their wisdom and their advice. Number 2, or the second part of the training arc I think is very important, is to recognize what in my mindset and in my current frame, because obviously I'm not gonna go, defeat Blackbeard. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, I'm not an anime character. I'm not defeating like one big bad, big evil. But in terms of my mindset, like, what is actually like important to me, and what do I want to spend a considerable amount of time like working on and developing? Like, genuinely hand on heart with like full transparency, like what is important to me, and trying to understand that and try to understand what excites me. Because if I have the power to construct my own narrative and create my own life, you can't write a story when you don't know the plot. I thought I was going to be really deep. A little remember that didn't hit the way it hit in my head. I have a podcast which you guys have probably seen. It's called Female Genius. I've recorded the first episode of the podcast. Shit. Genuinely, like, when people ask me like this year defining moment, I'm not going to say I graduated. I'm going to say I made a podcast, because that Female Genius podcast is genuinely my baby, because I truly love this podcast to the point where I want everybody to listen to it. I want the guy in my fucking corner shop to listen to it. That's like how much I love this thing and how much I believe that there's value in it to be heard and to be listened to, and there is something for everybody to gain in at least one episode. And so that's something that I definitely want to work on. I want to make the podcast of my dreams. I'll be vlogging my whole experience, and this is like this intro video to that, and also like encouragement that if you are going through this hard time, look at it as your training arc. What lessons can you take? How can you change the perspective and like change the narrative on what you're seeing and what you're viewing and like the things that are happening in your life? You're really misconstruing what he said.
Okay, what did he say?
I think what he said has value though, because in everything that you're doing it any time, you could always find the negatives in what you want to do. But sometimes certain things are stepping stones to places where you need to be or you want to be. Perspective, a lot of the time in a lot of situations, not all, is everything. And if we were to view the fact that, or if I was to view the fact that I was on this gap year, not because I wanted to be on it, and it's because I quote unquote failed by my own definition. I didn't fail my degree. Of course I didn't fail my degree. I then did pretty well, all things considered, but I failed by my own like standards and metrics. And if I was like, I'm just going to sit here, everybody's going to reject me, I'm not going to get the job I want, blah, 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 never going to get onto the master course I want. If I wanted to do a master's, I'm going to lose all my friends, I'm going to lose all my... Like, if I just focus on all the possible things that could go wrong or I could lose, instead of thinking about all of the potential things I now have the time and the opportunity and the space to gain, to heal my body, to heal my mind, to gain new skills, to breathe life into areas of my life that have been dead and dormant so long. Like, perspective is everything. And if you're going through something, it took me a couple months. Like, promise you, like, if you were to see the conversations I was having with some of my friends, like July, August, and some parts of September, I promise you would, like, it's like talking to a completely different person. My natural temperament will lead on pessimism. And if I don't take active steps to be very positive and very intentional with how I shape my day and how I shape my time, I will lead myself into despair, right? Like, genuinely, that's not even like despair is like below rock bottom, it's like the worst thing ever. But Uncle Ira said, I quote Uncle Ira, like, he's some kind of religious leader, but I've been rewatching Avatar The Last Airbender, so like that's all that's in my mind. But it was like, hope is something that you give yourself. And it's true, like, I can give myself hope, I can redesign this, and I want to take you guys along this journey, because when I was struggling and when I was thinking of what to do, I was looking for like videos along these lines, like vlogs of somebody who was in my situation, doing this gap year, figuring out life, trying to understand themselves, gain new skills, and I couldn't find it. So if I can't find it, if you can't find something you want, then just make it, you know? And so I will be vlogging, and this video is kind of like the intro story to that, and a little bit of a life update. And I hope you guys enjoyed this journey with me and this vlog. I'm thinking monthly. I'm thinking like one big ass monthly vlog. Check out Female Genius, because it's the best podcast in the entire world. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, which is probably going to be a Female Genius podcast episode, so you can check it out if you want. But then I'll see you guys in the first vlog at the end of the month. And I hope you do enjoy it. And thank you for coming on this journey with me. Have a training arc season.